Hello guys! So today for me is Cinco de Mayo, even though I actually don't celebrate it. Why would I? But for school this week, they're asking us to make some food that is pretty much related to Cinco de Mayo. Not that it was really planned out that way, I don't think, but today I will be making salsa fresca in this video. And if you want to stick around and watch my other video of pork carnitas, that would be amazing. But I'm really excited to make this food and eat it today. I just love Hispanic food. So I hope you can stick around and keep watching my video. All right. So I'm using regular off-the-vine red tomatoes that you can buy from any grocery store. I'm just cutting this part out that nobody wants to eat. I do that for all my tomatoes. I think I used about 3 tomatoes in this recipe. I made enough for only me. I probably made more than I needed to also, but I bought a lot of tortilla chips, so that's okay. My husband doesn't like fresh tomatoes or chunks of tomatoes or slices or anything like that, so he didn't have any of this, but I did get him to try it, so that's good. I was starting to cut out this kind of like gooey part in the middle of the tomato that holds the seeds and everything. You're already going to have a lot of wetness from the lime juice, and I add a little bit of vinegar to it as well. So you don't really want to have this gooiness in your salsa. Plus, it's kind of more for that kind of crunchier, aspect of it. So you can see that my cutting board is starting to slide away from me as I'm cutting, and it's really frustrating because I bought this cutting board for the fact that it has rubber stops on the side of that, but it's a really easy fix. If you just get a washcloth or a hand towel and just wet it and put it underneath your cutting board, then it'll keep your cutting board in place while you cut, and it won't be sliding anymore, just like that. It's perfect. So now I'm moving on to my onion. I'm using half an onion for this recipe. Once I cut through this, you can see there's kind of like a bad part in the onion. It's not really that bad. It's not moldy or anything. Sometimes this happens with onions. I don't want to just throw out this whole onion just because of that one part, so I just pick it out. It's totally fine. But with doing this, it was really hard to cut now because of ripping that part out. It kind of broke the onion, so it's not holding together like an onion should be. So it was a little sketchy to kind of cut through it, horizontally. But vertically was a lot easier. And once I start dicing it, then it looks fine. It doesn't even look bad at all. I cut really slow because I don't want to cut my fingers. I don't have amazing knife skills, but that's okay. I also use as much of the bud as I can. I don't like to waste my food, so that's why I kind of go back and make sure I get as much as I can off of that end piece. Now I'm just really mincing my onion up so that it kind of matches the size of the tomatoes. They actually end up a little smaller than tomatoes as well, but that's okay. Then you can just get more onion in your bite, and that's totally fine. It's really similar to pico de gallo, but pico de gallo I guess has bigger chunks. So now I'm crushing and peeling my garlic. I'm only going to use 2 cloves of garlic in this recipe. I don't really want a big garlicky taste. This one I end up crushing a little too much, but that's fine because I'm going to mince it up really fine anyway. Again, I don't want these big chunks of raw garlic to be like a main taste in my salsa. I cut off the butts of this garlic so that you don't end up, or I don't end up eating them. I mean, you don't really want to eat them either. They're kind of just annoying to eat if you end up, kind of chewing down on one. So then I'm just going to add whatever I minced up into my salsa. Now I'm moving on to my bell pepper. I only use half a bell pepper because I'm not really a big bell pepper fan. I don't mind it, I just don't really enjoy it, I guess. So I only use half of that, and then I save the other half for my carnitas that I'm going to make in the other video. And then I just slice and dice this up really finely so that it can go into my salsa. I give it a good stir to make sure that the ratios of all the veggies are what I want for my personal preference, and it looks pretty good to me. Of course, I'm going to add jalapeno into my salsa. I love spice. I only end up using 3/4 of this jalapeno, and I do use the seeds as well. Once I kind of cut this little inside piece off, I scrape the seeds off to put into my salsa. I probably could have used more spice in the end. It really didn't taste all that spicy to me. Maybe this jalapeno just wasn't very spicy. I know they kind of vary sometimes, just depending on, the kind, whatever one you kind of pick out. It's kind of a guessing game. But I saved the other quarter for my carnitas that I'm going to make later. That's all my jalapeno. Finally, I'm juicing 1 whole lime. When I added the lime, it actually had a bit of a sweet flavor to it, which was a little, I guess, off-putting in a sense because it's supposed to be acidic. It didn't taste bad, but because of this, I add about maybe half a teaspoon of regular white distilled vinegar in there just to bring out a little bit more of that acid flavor. I'm also going to salt and pepper to taste. You can see right here that I'm salting it. I can't give the exact measurements because I just kind of throw it in there and taste as I go. I end up adding just a little bit more lime juice because, like I said, it had a little sweet flavor and I was like, maybe there's not enough acid. I wrap up my salsa and put it in my fridge for about 3 hours until we have our carnitas. That was a good amount of time for all the juices and flavors to kind of seep in. I cut my cilantro before serve, I guess, because I just didn't want to cut my cilantro like twice or 3 times since we were going to have cilantro as well for our carnitas. I just make sure to mix in all that cilantro before I put it on the plate for serve, and I'll tell you right now that the salsa ended up being really delicious. So today's the next day after making that salsa, and that salsa was really good. Oh my gosh. And it went really great with the carnitas I made as well, which again is another video. So we're not even going to talk about the carnitas in this video. But I think the only thing was that my salsa wasn't spicy enough for me. I like spice. I could have used probably a whole nother jalapeno and more seeds. It just wasn't that spicy for me. My child is banging on the door. And the other thing too is that it was just a tad too salty. Like there was like 4 more flakes of salt than there needed to be, but it was just, it's fine. That's just more for me because you're putting it on salted tortilla chips. So maybe less salt would have been better. But it was totally fine. I think it still tasted delicious. My husband, who doesn't even like tomatoes, like I said earlier in the video, thought it was good. Of course, he didn't eat it. He just ate more of like a bite to try it because I asked him to and I said, please, can you try it? And he did, and he said it was good. So that's a thumbs up for me. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and that you'll make your own salsa fresca. Thank you so much for watching and have a good rest of your day. Bye!